Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Instrumental break. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. 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 Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish. I think that one will do. I'll play it back and I'll see what I think.
Yeah, hi. Hello, everybody. Aquatic Conquest, thank you for all your fine efforts. We can play your piece. Let me do it. Fish hands and Lean coffee with Father Fish and Freaks. Truly a blessed day. Hello, Holly Gibbs. Nice to see you. Cassidy, how you feeling this morning? Would you like to come up and share this with me and help me out here? Oh, who else? Let's see. GRB. Hi, GRB. Dan Floros. Aquadan. Hello, Aquadan. Peplin Creek. GRB. Oh, who else? Chev Birkinshaw. Good morning, Chev. Holly Gibbs, we said hello to. Roman Chirac. Hi, Roman. David Piper. Lee Wilcox. Hello, Lee. Nice to see you. All right. And with J-Dog. We're just on the phone with J-Dog. We're putting a website together that's coming along pretty well. Misfit. Hi, Misfit. Aquatic Conquest is going away to try to find some petrified wood and nice rocks. That should be great fun. Where are you going to go? Oh, who else is on here? I think I got everybody. John Doe. Hi, John Doe. But Taliker, Bill Witt. Hi, Bill. Jeremy, I've discovered a 24-hour live stream of a peregrine falcon nest in Melbourne City. Fabulous. Yeah, we have 24-hour. There are 24-hour all kinds of falcons and eagle nests. They are very, very cool. You're in North Wales. Wow. Nice. There should be some pretty nice rocks there. That ought to be cool. Arcas. Hello, Arcus. Shiv Birkenfeld in Australia. Oh, Cassie B needs to get a shower before she can come up. I see. All right. Oh my, Sandy Mick. Hi, Sandy. Mr. Fishman. Dan Floros. Oh, you know what? Oh dear. I think what I'll do, I'm gonna play Aquatic Conquest's new video that he just put up that he wants to use as an opening. It's real quality work. That he wants to use. Let's see. Let me find it here. Let's see. Well, nuts. I can't get back to it. Top Chat will not let me go back to the beginning. Maybe it will. Try it again. No, I can't. Aquatic Conquest. Post that again. Post that link again, please. I can't scroll back to the beginning. Let me go to the end. Who's here? Somebody just popped in. Rohan. There he is. Hi. Hello, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm good.
What's going on there?
My tetras are breeding, so I wanted to show you.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are they?
They are black skirts.
I didn't understand. Say it again.
Black skirt tetras.
Oh, black skirt tetras. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. You got.
So, yeah,
What have you
I
got? You got them in a tray. That's neat. With a mop.
No, this is a pool, right?
Very cool.
With a canister. And
Yeah. How about that? Pretty slick. Little Synodonis.
It's actually 7 inches in size.
He's a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
Nice. I got some. Yeah, that's nice. And they're hanging around the mop, like they're ready to do something.
They would go inside the mug as well, but they
really?
finished doing it. Yeah.
Wow. Very nice.
Yeah.
I like the tray. That's a clever idea.
Yeah.
Let's see. I want to play.
So I'll just hang out.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll get out so you can play the music, right?
Okay, well, thank you so much. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Very clever. Good job, Rohan. Yeah, let me see. He just put it up, and I've lost it again. Here we go. All right. Let's see. We need to put the volume on. And go back and play. Clever. Clever. Yeah, it's nice. I'll tell you what I really liked, though. It ran a little long. Was the pieces you were doing with clips from folks online here. That was really sweet. And that was running like 6-7 minutes at its peak. But that I think that's still okay. If we could kind of hold it to 5 minutes and then maybe do a once a month upgrade on it. I would prefer to do something like that would feature what people on here are doing, give everybody a chance to participate. I really like the idea of doing a kind of a formal intro piece, but I think with the kind of quality that you were able to put in that, it really worked, and I think worked extremely well. And it's something that I know you've been putting a huge amount of effort in on it, and it really shows. If we could do something though that would maybe feature 4 or 5. Here's Cassie B. Feature 4 or 5, and then run that for a month or something, and then upgrade with new people, or a week or whatever you think would work. I don't know. What do you guys think? Good morning, Cassie B.
Good morning. I decided to put a hat on.
Ah. Well, you smell nice.
Debatable.
Let's see who else is here. Holly Gibbs says she has epilepsy, so the lights were a bit of a problem for her. That's something we need to be sensitive to, isn't it? Down to folks sending me photos and video clips. Aquatic says, well, if we gave people a month to send in 2 or 3 or so, then we can always run what we had if little or nothing comes in. Let's give it a go. Let's try what you've already got. Let's run that, and then give people some time. and try to get, when you get 3 or 4 in, then up it with those. If they run for a week or 2 weeks, I think that's fine.
Hi, Barry.
Holly, did I get Aquatic Conquest? Yeah, Holly sends some to AC. Who
No,
else?
I've been sick since Sunday,
Wow.
mildly. It's like it's building in my head, and I haven't done much, so
Gee, turn your
I should
volume
shower.
volume down a little. You're louder than me on mine. I don't know how it's coming out. I don't know how it comes across.
Okay.
No idea. I need to somehow put my text below my picture so I'm not always looking over on the edge to see stuff, but looking into the camera. Let's see, if I move the camera, that might help. Does that help? I don't think it does. I don't know. I can't get any of this stuff straight. Actually, I had the camera above the text.
Well, I don't know how to turn the volume down. Is that okay?
I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. I could do it on YouTube, I guess.
I'll try to be quieter.
I think one of the things that was confusing me. Now, how about if I put the camera right in front of the text? Now that works. If I, but I don't know how I can do it. I don't think I can do it. Do it sideways. I don't know.
I'll let you guys look at the
Nice.
aquarium.
Yeah. Very cool.
I don't know how well you can see that.
Yeah, we can see the whole thing. It's kind of halfway across the room, but we can certainly see it.
It's not that far away. I could touch it.
Chev wants to know about burying a heater in substrate. It's not a good idea. What happens is the heater will heat up the dirt and it'll stick to the heater and cause uneven heat. And it also will not really heat the water. It'll kind of dissipate the heat before it reaches the water. So don't bury your heater. It really doesn't work. Not a good idea. I'm playing with the camera here. Need to leave it alone.
Now my camera likes to auto adjust and then it turns really dark.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Get you guys a close up. I added dwarf hair grass yesterday.
How cool. Oh yeah. I got some giant hair grass in the mail the other day. It's still in the package. I haven't planted it yet. I got to do that. And I've got to get a couple of shipments out today.
I put in these banana plants.
Oh, nice. Yes.
And some of the anacris got replaced with more of that sabadu. I don't know how to say it. Sabadu. I don't know the name. It's some kind of grassy plant.
I don't know.
Lee says, don't have your heater in the water vertical. It will half its life.
Well, Yeah,
You were supposed to put it vertical.
I've never had. It says it'll half its life, really. Huh.
Because of burnout.
Oh, all right. I suppose that's possible, particularly if the top of it is out of the water.
That's how they recommend you put it in the aquarium, though, isn't it? Vertical
Well, it depends. They
or
used to be.
diagonal?
They used to be not submersible. Now they're all submersible, so you can put them in sideways, which is the best way to do it. But I remember when all of the heaters had to have the top hanging on the side of the tank out of the water. You couldn't have the mechanics, the adjustment part in the water, or it would get water in the heater. So when they were first made, they were not sealed.
I still don't have a heater in my tank. I haven't really looked. I got all those recommendations, but I didn't go look for a heater. It's still warm here, so I probably should do that before the weather cools down.
Right. Coffee's talking about turning it off before you take it out of the water. That's real critical because they can burn you. They can also break if they get.
Yeah, I'd be more worried about it breaking.
Super red hot, and then you splash water on it. It can break it. Also, turning it off when you're taking water out of the tank. It's important to have the heater unplugged when you're draining the tank. Otherwise, you can break the heater. If the heater gets hot, if it's plugged in out of the water, and it can get red hot, water dripping on it will break the glass. And they're a bit tricky to replace. Can be done, but not easy. They can do more than burn. Indeed, they can. Diagonal is good for a heater. What, Cassie?
I just wanted to turn the light on, but my camera is terrible.
Yeah, it's better. Lee's saying it looks fantastic.
Yeah, my son was sitting last night. He's like, I'm liking this aquarium more and more.
That's great.
I got a mystery snail yesterday. They had blue, so I was like, all right, I've got to get a blue one. Always wanted a blue one. I don't see him in here though right now. He was loving the log. He was cleaning my driftwood. Hopefully he'll keep it clean.
I use a lot of nearite snails. I really like the nearites. They do a good job. They're real hardy. I've yet to lose them. A lot of snails will just kind of die off, but the nearites tend to do well. And there's a lot of variety. They're found all over the world. A friend of mine was in yesterday. In fact, he's a retired MD from the Philippines. He came back from the Philippines a while back and showed me pictures of nearite snails that we're going to show, and they were all different color patterns. I don't think they were painted. I think they were natural color. I know some have horns. You can get whorl patterns, color patterns. Just a lot of really beautiful snails. I've not seen those locally.
I have a tiger one in here.
Right.
It's really small. And he's right here. I don't know if you can see him.
Up top?
On the,
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right near the filter.
Yeah, sure enough. Can't see it that way.
Can you see him?
Yes. Yeah, get close.
We'll get closer.
Yeah.
Can-
Yeah, they
That's good.
see a little color on them. Yeah.
Yeah, he's real pretty. I I heard that and I guess it's true because I've seen it. The olive ones are the egg layers, and you'll get eggs all over, but not with the tiger ones. I think in the other varieties.
Well, I don't know about that. They're little tiny white dots that don't hatch. I was watching
Yeah.
somebody yesterday. Can't remember who it was, and they were talking about it, and they said on their wood they kind of like the look of the little white dots on their
Mm,
driftwood.
not
Um,
me.
yeah, they lay little tiny white eggs that and they lay them everywhere.
They look like sesame seeds.
Yeah, they don't do anything. They don't hatch. They don't do nothing. I have
I
occasionally had nearite eggs hatch in
mm,
very hard water.
I only
Sometimes,
see them on the driftwood. I don't see the eggs anywhere else except like the castle and the driftwood.
yeah,
I haven't noticed this one laying any eggs because I have the olive ones in with my goldfish. But that's what they told me. They said the olive ones will lay more eggs.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe that may have been
Maybe
personal
could be
experience.
why they're less expensive.
Yeah, I'm looking at some comments here. Lee's talking about Rohan. Kiddie play pool as a breeding pond. Oh, look at that.
Which one's backwards? That
How's
one's
that?
backwards.
There
Here
you
we go. I got your gift
Nice.
yesterday.
You got the mug. Nice.
Yeah. Look at
Look at that.
the
Wonder where
Butterfish mug.
how about that? I do have more coming. If anybody would like a mug.
Mine's a little bigger.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, really. They're pretty good size. They're nice size mugs. If anybody
This
would like a mug,
one's really big.
yeah, send $25 to my what's it called? My PayPal account, fatherfish@fatherfish.net. If you are out of the country, I sent one to Canada yesterday. It cost postage through FedEx was $31 to send
Wow.
a mug to Canada. I sent a box to Lee with a mug, and it was a bigger box. That was $24. So if you're out of the country and would like a mug and can afford to add another $20 to the 25, please do so. If you can't afford it, I'll cover it because I want you to get the mug. But we do have, I've got 10 more coming, so we'll do some more next week. I do have 2 or 3 going out today. Aquarium Cop is going out today. Let's see. Let me go through the list. Carol Howard is going out today. That's Brian. Who is this? Oh, that's Aquarium Cop. Jonathan Santiago is going out today. He's getting pygmy sunfish. Jarrett Powers is going out today. He's getting German blue rams. And there's another one that gets rams and a mug. Oh, here it is. It's the Carol Howard one. That's Brian. gets Rams in a mug. So that's today. And I
Yes.
promise to go out today. If I have to work my fingers to the bone until 12 o'clock tonight. I don't think it'll take more than an hour, actually, to pack them out. Oh, let's see. Let's jump down to the bottom here.
Mary says she lost her nearite snails when she was treating for planaria.
Thank you very much.
Sorry to hear that, Mary.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can't treat with chemicals. You really cannot do it. I just got a delivery of sand. I buy sand from the local pool supply house. They deliver 25 bags a week. So I sell 25 bags of sand every week.
Wow. Michelle SCP says, I love my nearite. I don't even have to clean my glass or decorations. Well, I want to know how big your tank is that you just have one nearite that does all that.
Really. They're pretty busy guys. I got some really sad news yesterday. For some friends of mine own a zoo up in Maryland in Catoctin Mountain Park, which is where the president's Camp David is. They lost their daughter. Her daughter was in her 50s. She had had cancer for many years and finally succumbed to it. But I had spoken to her last February. Her background was in kind of audio visual promotional, that sort of stuff. She worked for a local newspaper and had a uh, a, a studio, her own studio, and did a lot of promotional work. I had talked to her about coming up there last spring and doing some videos on the zoo, and of course that's when COVID hit, so I was not able to make the trip, and now she's gone. So I was talking to the family, and of course they're very sad. Her father said, I just I don't like to think about all the times we will not be able to work together because she put a lot of time and effort into helping promote the zoo, and it was really a mainstay in that effort. So very sad. Kelly was her name. Very, very sweet, lovely woman. A lovely young woman. Knew her when she was a little tiny girl. I've known that family for 50 years or more. So sad news yesterday from the mountains and at the Catoctin Mountain Zoological Park, which if you are in the area and have not visited, do so. It is remarkable. In fact, they're opening a section of the zoo this fall that would allow people to drive through and not get out of their car. So it'll be like some of the big zoological parks. They're dedicating 25 acres to some animal displays that'll be sort of delta displays. You'll be able to drive through and see the animals up close and personal in your vehicle. Let's see, Aquatic Conquest. It turned my heater off when changing water, but I forgot to turn it on. And 2 days later, the fish were acting strange another day. And I think it would have been right. Goodbye, fish.
Did he say he lost a fish or?
No, he did not. He caught it in time, but he noticed the behavioral change. And that's something that's really important. You bring up Aquatic Conquest.
That'd be something I would do.
Yeah, I did a video recently. I think it was the last one I did on how, for a beginner, how to select fish. And the one thing I was trying to demonstrate by showing different fish in different tanks was how fish behave differently. And that's something that you need to, if you've got a fish and you're watching it all the time, trust your intuition. Trust that when you see the fish acting differently, there's a reason for that. You need to try to figure out what the reason is. In Aquatic Conquest's case, it was a heater that was turned off, so the water got colder than was normal. But there's always something causing it. Obviously, if they get ick, they're going to be flashing and scratching. But there always are behavioral things happening with your fish that are a sign of different condition, even if it's something like breeding behavior, like Rohan's video this morning where he was showing fish gathering around a breeding mop. Anytime they begin to act a little differently, it's because there's something going on. So just real important to be aware of that.
Hey, Paul C.
Lee Wilcox is saying he has an extension block. So anytime he's working on like a gang plug, a multi-gang plug, anytime he's working on the tank, he can pull that out and disconnect everything. I had a call yesterday from a customer who was getting shocked, just a tingly kind of thing, when they put their hands in the tank, and they were wondering what it was. Well, my first thought, of course, was the heater. And he said, well, it's intermittent. It doesn't happen all the time. Is it possible it's happening when the heater turns on? And my response was, no, that doesn't make sense, because the connection for that is in the glass tube. So if there's water getting either into the tube or to the wire, you're going to feel it all the time. So we never did work out what it was. It's possible that he was grounding himself with tennis shoes. And I know I do that. I wear rubber-soled shoes, so I never feel anything. Somebody will put their hand in my tank and get shocked, and I don't, because I'm grounded.
Funny. What about the fish? Does it affect the fish?
It does not at all. They're not grounded. It does not affect the fish at all. They don't notice it.
Yeah, when I used to work in a lab, that was recommendation. We always had to have grounding and rubber-soled shoes, and we had straps around our wrists that were connected to ground also. So we couldn't fry the electronics by us doing the zapping, because it's been a long time.
Holly Gibbs is saying one of my baby pea puffers has an eye injury. I've salted the water a bit more and did a water change. There's not a whole lot you can do with eye injuries. I tried using ophthalmological salves directly on the wound. I find in general, particularly with wounds or open sores, if you treat topically, you're going to get better results than you will treating the water column. Anytime a fish has a wound, if you take it out and put whatever medication you've got directly on the wound, it'll have a better chance of working than if you simply treat the whole water, all the water in the tank. So I would not
do that for, like, if you see a wound on their tail. What medication do you use?
Well, I like to use for something serious. I like to use sulfa drugs, and I have a product called triple sulfa that does positive and negative gram uh, uh, bacteria. So it'll kind of cover. It's a wide spectrum antibacterial. I find that works, and I also, if I've got a problem in the tank where a number of fish are sick from some kind of bacterial infection, then I can treat the whole tank with it. And I have not noticed it destroying the water column. I'm fairly conservative with the amount that I use, and I prefer not to use any kind of medication in the water. I prefer to use it topically or take the fish out and treat it in a hospital tank. But the antibacterial powders, I think, work about as well as anything. I've used various kinds of salves, just bacterial salves, and they'll stay on the fish long enough to work.
What is it called again? What's the powder called?
Um, it's I don't have the name of it here. It's a sulfa powder. It's called triple sulfa. I buy it in bulk. You can probably get it online. I do sell it in in little vials that'll last a long time. I mean, it's
Okay.
very strong stuff. So I'll list it on my Get Gills. It's a good all-purpose antibacterial powder that can be used topically as well as in the water.
Yeah,
It,
my
I buy
kitten when I first
I
got
buy a
him.
pound of it. A pound of it runs about $200. It's gone up quite a lot over the
Hmm,
years, so I can sell it in little vials. I charge like $10 for a little pill bottle. Yeah, I'm sorry, Cassidy.
I was just saying that the powders are probably better. And when I first got my two kittens, one was injured. He was locked in the bathroom at the foster care lady's house, but she wasn't the main foster care lady, and she was taking care of the cats for a little bit while the main lady was like away. And she had other animals, which is the reason why she couldn't really take care of them. So she had them in a bathroom and had to go away for the day. And the one little boy who is the most rowdy kitten ever. I can see why he probably got injured. But he had injured his paw. So the vet was having her do like a liquid treatment
Huh.
and then bandaging it, and it wasn't healing. It had gone on for like a week and it wasn't healing. Um, he had like a scratch on his pad, like a pretty deep cut. And I took him to my vet, and my vet gave me a powder. And within like a day or two, it had completely healed. And he said to air it out. And just with this powder and airing it out, it had healed completely. So I can see how the powder would be a better way to treat wounds.
Oh, yeah, it seems to adhere to the wound better.
Hmm.
Holly's suggesting that the mug makes the coffee taste better. Yeah,
I think
probably.
it does.
Yeah.
It does. I had a really good cup the other day when I used it.
I have iced coffee in here from McDonald's. I stopped and bought iced coffee this morning. Where are we? It's the rest of it.
Today is my first homemade cup of coffee. I've been
Oh,
drinking tea.
you've been drinking tea. Oh, I love tea.
Hmm.
Mary Page is still drinking from her temporary cup. Well, your cup was put in the mail yesterday, Mary Page. So you should
That was funny.
get with
That cup
by
was
the end of
funny.
the week. Ah,
How long did it take you, Mary, to make the cup?
that's funny. She's got a styrofoam she wrote on.
Yeah, that was funny. Should have put a fish on
It
there.
doesn't say anything on it. There's no, I don't think. I picked a picture that has Tom on it, and it's got a funny little mark that I think is a window reflection.
Yeah, I think that's the reflection on the
The window.
picture frame.
Right. And then, so it's a genuine picture of a picture. Lee's
Michelle
asking
said, sorry.
where Michelle is. Michelle SCP in New Jersey. I grew up in Maryland and New Jersey. I lived in Bloomfield one summer. New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, DC, and Virginia are the core, back in the 50s and 60s, were the core states on the coast that had most of the tropical fish enthusiasts and most of the really good stores. That moved into Massachusetts pretty early on, but those were the key states. Still are in a lot of ways for things like clubs and so forth. But Chicago jumped up pretty quick, and then things moved out to the West Coast, and there's some pretty nice clubs and shops on the West Coast now. But back in the 50s and 60s, it was all kind of central East Coast U.S. I think I've mentioned before that when I was a kid growing up in Baltimore City, there were 47 pet shops. Now there's one, the dedicated tropical fish store. Shouldn't say pet shop, tropical fish store. There were 47 tropical fish stores, and of course now there's one. But we're working on it. We're gonna load the country up with little father fish shops everywhere.
I don't have any fish clubs around here. I've looked. There's nobody nearby in my area. I would like to hook up with local people, but I don't know anybody and I've had trouble finding anyone. I guess I could ask my store.
You've got a local shop, yeah. See if they will help in that way. They probably have a mailing list. See if they'll help. Maybe the first club meeting we ever had was here at my shop, and we had 100 people. It was kind of nuts, but we advertised it through my mailing list, through the shop mailing list, and then very quickly moved into a high school biology lab, and then from there to a state park where we met for a few years. But if your local shop, and not all local shops are interested in starting clubs, because clubs tend not to be particularly supportive of local shops. In fact, they tend to pull money away from local shops because the members get to know each other and get into trading fish and so forth, and that takes away from money and effort they would otherwise spend in their local shop. So you need somebody who's either too dumb to know that, or or idealistic, or whatever. But talk to your local shop owner, see if they would be willing to help. Maybe get a group together, have a
I
meeting.
could ask. I'll try
Yeah,
to ask next time. I'm usually in there just staring at the plants and fish.
right. Well, that's kind of the key to it. You need to start conversations with people, and that's kind of the way it starts usually. You get into conversation with somebody in your local fish store, talk
Hmm.
to them about their fish and about yours, and before long you're visiting each other, and that kind of is the way it begins.
Yeah. I did learn that one of the pet store workers has I guess she's doing a brackish water tank. She says she collects from our river nearby, and
Oh,
whatever she finds in there, she puts in her tank. And I didn't ask any further, but I probably should have. But they're real friendly.
well, let's say Rohan's saying collecting eggs off the bottom is hard. Well, if they're adhesive eggs, that's really a problem because you have to break them loose and then they're going to probably stick to something else.
Exactly.
If you use a siphon and siphon the eggs out, that's probably the easiest way to do it, Rohan. With the mop, you just take the mop out and put it in a bowl or whatever.
I really worked to get a lot of the cyanobacteria off of my kabamba back here. It was just taking over the kabamba, and I was siphoning,
Yeah,
but
it
it
does,
was
it does rush off.
it's kind of on the middle, the bacopa now, so I got to target that next.
Yeah, it'll go away. It's not a permanent condition. It's a
Yeah.
monoculture that starts up in a new tank because it's the first thing, and it just finds a virgin territory, so it spreads like wildfire. But pretty soon, other things begin growing in among it, and they will naturally control it. So don't.
Someone, I came across someone yesterday saying like the silicates that are in the water kind of cause it. And since I have been not using like the water that's been filtered, it's coming straight from the well. I wonder if that's what's kind of causing some of it.
Yeah, but that's not a bad thing. It's the cyno is not a dangerous condition. It's
Will
unsightly.
it like block out the light from the plants though? Because I'm more worried about it on the plants than on the sand, really.
Well, yeah, you can brush it off though. It will to some extent, but it's easy enough to kind of shake the plant and get it off. And after a few days, a week at the most, it'll be pretty well gone. It's really not a permanent condition. It goes away pretty quick.
I don't know. I feel like this has been going on and on.
It seems that way because you're dealing with it every day. That tank's only been up about 2 weeks. Haven't been that long.
My friend that collected the wildlife. Are you talking about the storekeeper I was chatting with?
Yeah,
GRB says I should get some good footage. Well, she's not my friend. She's the girl that works in the fish shop who was telling me about her tank. So if we were friends, I could maybe go over there, but I don't see her that often. I've seen her maybe twice.
Lisa Perez said I drove an hour or two to a place called House of Tropicals. House of Tropicals in Glen Burnie, Maryland.
I remember it.
You know, Betsy's here.
Absolutely.
She remembers that shop. Yeah.
Ton of birds,
Yeah, lots of birds. That's right.
but they weren't good to the birds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They used to be in a corner store, an old rundown building, and up on the second floor, they had big wire cages where they raised birds. I used to go in that shop back in the mid 1960s. They've been there 60 years. They're actually older than that. They moved down the street into their current location. They opened a second shop out Lock Raven Boulevard, I think, in Baltimore County. I don't know that that one is still going. I don't think it is. But House of Tropicals, yeah. The owner, Jack, had two sons, and the sons have taken it over and are running the shop. At one point, they were doing the two shops together. Now I think they're down to one. It is a great shop. It's an old shop. Um, it's a very, how can I put this? It's a very formal pet shop. Um, it's a shop that is a precursor to why the big box stores started, because they early on developed a marketing strategy for dry goods. Um, they do have a lot of fish. They've got a lot of birds, other reptiles, and so forth. And of course, it's the only show in town anymore. But yeah, know the shop well, Lisa. Say hello. Say hello to Jack when you get there. He might or might not. He might not remember me, but then again, you never know. He moved down here for a while. He was down here in, I think, Fort Myers for a few years, and his wife missed the grandbabies, and he got tired of playing golf, so they went back and or I think he's still in with the boys running the shop. Last I heard, AC is talking to Rohan about using a small diameter pipe to siphon out the fish eggs. Fish and Tactics is talking about his autistic son, and I don't try to, excuse me, go back and see where that came from. Would I consider signing it? I don't know if I've got anything I could do it permanently. I'll try. I'll see what I can come up with, Holly. See if I can sign it. It'll be pretty sloppy.
Yeah, they do make like markers that you can write on mugs with.
Oh, okay.
You can get it at a craft store.
I'll go over.
And then it can be washed and it won't come off.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Forget if you have to bake it. I don't know. I haven't used them. I've heard of them. The Secret History Living in Our Aquarium has come and joined us and
Good.
says good morning. And he would like to know what plants were in the hobby back in the 60s, or were silk plants the big fad?
Let me get them up here. See, come. I just posted the link. Come on up. What plants there were in?
I'm pretty sure it's like 6 a.m. for him or 5 a.m. for him.
Yeah, right.
Over in Seattle. That's what, a 4-hour difference.
G. Well, Anacris, Water Sprite, Vallisneria. I guess they were the three main ones. Kabamba. There was a Kabamba. Anacris was the big one. Water Sprite, no water hyacinth, but we did have Water Sprite. And I loved that. That was a great plant. No low growing plants. that I can think of. There probably was duckweed, but that would have been more by accident than anything else. And most of these plants were wild collected. There was really nobody, there were no farms at the time growing plants. I remember coming to Florida in the early 90s, and even as late as then, most of the plants that were sold were wild collected, and people were permitted to be able to collect wild, and the plants grew very, very well. I mean, you could get really nice bunches of plants. They were, for the most part, rooted plants. Uh, a lot of Ludwigia, a lot of Lud, a lot of Bacopa. Here he is. Good morning, Alex.
Morning.
Nice
Morning. What time is it?
It is 6:01 a.m.
I was off by an hour. I thought it was 5.
Wow.
I haven't slept because I broke some ribs 2 days ago, and
I saw that.
yeah,
Ouch.
they're all swollen now. So they didn't hurt too bad the other day, but now they're really hurting. So I've just been watching streams from around the world, like watch one in Japanese and one in German. So
Really?
yeah.
Were you able to get it interpreted?
Yeah, one of them had it translated like by some service on the bottom of their screen, the Japanese one, and then the German one, he was speaking some English, so it was okay.
I had one video of mine that I was able to turn on the interpreter function, and it did it automatically. It scroll texted the words.
Oh,
I've
nice.
never figured out how or why that happened, but that was pretty slick.
Yeah, it's getting pretty good at doing that. The AI or whatever they call it, the computer programs.
Huh.
Are you guys getting rained on down there because of Sally or anything?
Yeah, we have been. It's still not cleared up. It's getting close. We're kind
A
of
little
at
rain yesterday.
Yeah, Cassidy's got some. She's over on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. It's still overcast a bit.
Luckily, it didn't rain when I had to go get my kiddos because we bike to school now. And if it rains, I don't know. We're just out of luck.
Oh yeah.
So you can see
Oh
it's
yeah.
still cloudy here.
Some bands coming through still.
Yeah, just kind of the tail end of it. It's been that way for a while. We never got much. We got rain for 2 days. Not super heavy. Maybe 3-4 inches tops.
Usually the West Coast lucks out compared to, the far south or the East Coast, it seems like.
Well, we're kind of indented where we are here in the Tampa, between Tampa and Fort Myers. It kind of goes in a little bit. And so the storms kind of ride out more in the Gulf.
Yeah, I was down there when, I can't remember the name of the storm. It was 3 years ago, but Tampa Bay drained.
I forget all the names.
Yeah, Tampa Bay drained though during the one when I was in town down there, and everyone was out in the bay.
Right.
They were supposed to get hit, and then it was so funny. They were out there expecting all this bad weather, and then it didn't hit. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, we got like maybe some 40-mile-an-hour winds, and I was like, "Oh, this is nothing,"
It had petered out or something, and
yeah,
that's why you can't trust the weather forecasters with the hurricanes, and you never know what's going to happen.
yeah,
They say it's going to hit, and then like the last few hours, it does something different.
yeah.
And that one that was going to hit us here, what was that, a week or 3 weeks ago? It ended up going up and hit my parents in Maryland, and they got a lot of damage from that, and they lost a lot of trees in their backyard, and
Yeah.
they were worried about us, and we got nothing.
Wow.
Where
So-
in you? Where in Maryland are your parents, Cassidy?
They are in between like Baltimore and DC. They live in Lothian,
Oh,
so
yeah.
a little bit south of Annapolis.
I grew up there in that area, kind of the northern part of southern Maryland. Fort Meade,
Mm-hmm.
there's a military fort where NASA is located. That's right where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lou, were you aware of the goldfish history in Maryland and Delaware growing up?
Yeah, some.
Just,
There were farms.
yeah, I just read that, as early as the 1830s, there were the first farms in the country were in those two states. So that's, I was just curious if you knew much about that.
One of the farms is still going strong. There's another one near, I was talking about Catoctin Mountain Zoological Park. It's right behind them in Thurmont. A really beautiful farm. Has about 40 large, deep ponds.
Oh, wow.
There, that one is just sitting there. The owner built a $1 million building and then died, and
How cold.
nobody did anything with it. So it's all kind of sitting there. Um, there's another one that does plants primarily that I've been trying to remember the name of for a couple of days. Real popular place, but it just won't come to me. Somebody will think of it. They're all in the Frederick, Maryland, kind of Western Maryland,
Okay.
Northwestern Maryland area. Nothing really down south. They're sort of in the mountains where it's a little cooler, and they're more mountain springs where the water's a little colder. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've lived up there, and I used to go up as a kid.
cool. Yeah,
Right.
I was asking the question about the plants that were in the hobby, just because it seems like to me, even growing up in the 80s and 90s, it seemed like plastic was such a popular thing, or silk. I mean, whatever, take your pick. But um, you know, if you go way back, the books are pretty full of information on North American plants. Like you
Exactly.
were saying, the kabamba and things like that.
Yes.
Um, uh,
Probably
one of
because
my
plastic came out in about in the 80s and was real cheap to manufacture, and they didn't know. They probably didn't know yet that it's not good. It
Right.
deteriorates.
Yeah.
yeah, one
Yeah.
of my
There were no farms, plant farms. I mean, even the fish farming started about in the 50s, late 40s, early 50s. That's when it really took off, and there were as many as 200 farms, I think, at its height. But nobody was doing plants, which is odd because they could have done. They're all dirt ponds. They could have easily grown plants, but they were more a nuisance and a pest. And there were enough wild species, just fields of plants, that it was pretty easy to collect them. Now there's virtually no wild collecting at all. I don't even know if it's still legal. May not be. I was talking with Chubbs about it, and Louisiana has the same kind of environment, but they've made it totally illegal to sell wild caught plants in Louisiana. I don't think it's quite that bad in Florida, but it's certainly approaching that. And it's unnecessary too,
in
because
Washington, it's the same.
is that
Well,
right?
and all these plants would have had to start wild, right? So the stuff they're farming and
It's all,
selling.
yeah, but it's all now been generations farmed.
Mhm.
Farming has been going on for 20 years, nearly. How time flies. Since
Yeah,
about the turn of the century.
yeah.
That's when farms started, yeah.
We've lost a lot of species in Washington State because of Eurasian milfoil and then efforts to eradicate it. So and things like Hygrophila, rosevig, or polysperma, whatever you want to call it. But that's one of my favorite plants, even though it's invasive. And it's illegal to buy and sell, but it's legal to possess. So I have
Right.
it in my tanks because I've collected it.
Hmm.
But technically, you're not allowed to collect plants to buy or sell without a permit. But then there's no place to file for a permit.
Right, exactly. Yeah, there's
So in Florida, then you have to have the permit fatherfish to collect.
you have to have a permit to sell. It's a wholesale, either a farmers or a wholesaler. The farmer would be the jobber, or a wholesaler or a retail permit. Um, for saltwater fish, you have to have a collector's license for like
Hmm.
ornamentals, but they don't give any more of those out. The only ones that exist are passed on from actually sold from person to person, and there are
Yeah.
maybe 50 of those statewide. There are not many of them left. They go for 50 to $100,000 each. They've gotten
Wow.
right pricey. Plants, I don't know if they still permit uh, plant collecting. I would rather doubt it. There are no limits on collecting wild freshwater ornamentals. It's basically just uncovered, which is interesting because there are some very desirable little species.
Yeah. Florida, or Rotala, Florida, is a really beautiful little plant.
Roman Chirac has a question, and maybe this would be good for you, Alex. Flourish iron supplement. Would that be suitable as a substitute for iron oxide in the mud of a new aquarium setup? He's not finding iron oxide near him unless he orders off of eBay. So he
Yeah,
wants to know about Flourish iron supplement.
from my experience, as long as it doesn't have any algicide in it, it should be fine. That algicide they like to bundle in products, and I'm not a fan of it at all. I think you should have algae, naturally in your tank in a balance, personally, so that you have a diversity. But as long as, iron oxide or iron, I've seen lots of different iron compounds sold, and the reason they do that is because there's trademarks on different, combinations, just like Chem Prime has the sulfide. There's a ring of sulfides that is molecularly a certain way, so nobody else can do that. And so everybody else either keeps it really vague what's in there, or they do something else, like they'll add a carbon atom to the end of the chain, even though it's the same exact thing. So iron is treated the same way, from a trademark and patent standpoint. From what I've noticed, it's pretty much the same. Would you agree, Lou? Or
Yeah, the chelated products, like chelated copper, for example, is not as toxic theoretically as straight copper. I remember back in the 50s, we would treat saltwater fish with copper pennies. Actually, throw pennies in the tank to kill parasites.
oh wow,
Unfortunately, it killed fish too.
yeah, it's very deadly to shrimp, I know, but
Yeah.
that's interesting though, because there's still copper in some, you know, in trace amounts in a lot of the different medicinal treatments out
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, the problem with copper, of course, is that it gets into everything. It'll get into your PVC. It'll get into acrylic. I mean, once you get it, it'll get into silicone, and you can't get rid of it. You
Yeah,
can empty the tank and scrub it, and you'll still have copper. The thing about iron that's interesting is that iron has to break down to be accessible to plants.
yeah,
Uh, and it takes, I use the iron oxide primarily because it takes about a year for it to break down. So there are lots of trace iron in other things that we put in the tank, like regular potting soil has trace elements of iron in it. But the iron oxide, which is really a fundamental building block of plants, is critical for plant growth long term. So if you do something like the iron oxide, um, it'll take a long time for it to break down, but then that will be available to the plants in a year or 2 years down the road. So it lengthens the life of the substrate. I do a number of supplements that have that function. They take a long time to break down, which extends the life of the substrate.
yeah,
Aquatic Conquest says that in the UK at Oxford, they're currently producing a plastic-like substance made from organic material like peas and potatoes.
Ha!
yeah.
So
They've been working on a couple of those things. The other one that they're working on up here in University of Washington is made out of mycelium from mushrooms, the white stringy stuff, the root system in mushrooms.
yes,
And they've started using that actually instead of styrofoam for to-go containers in Seattle.
ha!
Yeah,
That's
Well,
cool. I
kind of
like that.
interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting that with styrofoam being so bad for the environment that they still use styrofoam cups and stuff. And I take that and I go, this is so bad. How can you be using these?
here fishing. What can I do with my summer tub pond plants during the winter so they may come back next year? I'm bringing my 40-gallon stock tank of white clouds inside. I was in Pittsburgh. If you've got dirt, a lot of these plants will go dormant and will come back. Otherwise, you can put them on a sun porch or someplace that's not going to freeze, and so long as they don't freeze to kill them, they will come back in the spring. You can bring them outside and put them in your tanks. They will languish, but you can keep them alive that way, and then put them back out in the spring, and they'll sprout out again. So I would try various methodologies. Some plants will come back. I mean, there are plants living aquatically in Pittsburgh that you can be growing, and they will dive back into the soil and then come back up again in the spring. Other
Mhm.
than that, try putting them in an area that may be like a root cellar with a little bit of light. Light's not really important. The important thing is to keep the root system alive, and they'll typically come back.
What
Like the,
about insulating the tub or adding a heater? You
that
could
all
do that.
it may get too cold. You know, it's possible you can just be too cold to get away with that.
There's definitely some plants you could try to use too. One of my favorite, North American plants is found at the latitude and on the East Coast over, near Pittsburgh, all the way up through Maine, and that's Ludwigia ex lacustris, and
Yep.
that's a beautiful little plant. There's several Ludwigias. Kabamba, like purple kabamba, will do fine. Hornwort will do fine. So there's a lot of plants that are aquatic plants. And then, of course, yeah.
Ricky will freeze out and come back.
Yeah, same with duckweed.
Yeah, Mary Page says that Colin Barsby just posted an article about using styrofoam and creating ecosystems with it on his community page. Sorry, I thought they had to do with tubs. I think she's back on the styrofoam. I was thinking you could insulate with styrofoam.
You could, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that the ocean aquarium uses styrofoam in their aquariums to grow the subwasser tang on it.
Oh, interesting.
And then, that the subwasser tang takes over, that you can't even see the styrofoam anymore once it really sets in and spreads out.
Aquatic Conquest is talking about rusty nails. And
I saw that.
well, that's
Like, not a good idea.
that's the whole issue of iron needing to break down. The iron oxide, which is what you get from a rusty nail, needs to break down, and that takes a long time. So, if you were to bury some 10-penny nails in your substrate, I guess you could do that. It's not really going to hurt anything, but it'll take a long time.
Except you if you go digging.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Don't walk in it or stick your head.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I wanted to ask, I didn't see, how did you hurt your ribs, Alex?
It was stupid.
You probably don't want to tell it.
No, I leaned over a couch to try to unplug a lamp for a fish tank, and I have hardwood floors, and there was a rug on the floor, and so when I was leaning over fully, my feet slipped and the rug went the other way, and so I only fell about, I don't know, 6 inches to a foot, but I landed on we have a couch that has a metal bar in the back that's about an inch wide as the frame, and that hit my sternum, and I guess it cracked my sternum and then broke the back side of the ribs. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I broke a rib once.
Yeah, I've broken them before, so they said that could have been why it broke. So, easier too. So
I was playing soccer when I broke my rib.
Oh.
I was defending. I'm pretty rough. So I was going after a ball. I don't remember. I must have. We're very rough and physical with our shoulders, and I must have hit like right here.
Oh.
And I broke it, and ever since then, when I do crunches, like it pops.
Oh, I know. I hate that feeling.
It doesn't hurt, but
it's just weird. Yeah, right now my back is actually like under my shoulder blade and under my armpit is like what's bruised and swollen more so than the front or anything. So,
you got your sternum, isn't that here? And
yeah,
you got your back.
It is. It's kind of odd, but
yeah.
Well,
because it broke in the back and the front, basically.
Weird.
So
and
they
there's
can't
nothing you can do with your ribs.
No, they said that in, I guess later today or the next day, they said I could try wrapping it, but for the first 72 hours, they said don't even wrap it because it's going to swell and they want to see kind of where it's going to go. But with all our forest fires here, the smoke's been really bad, so I was coughing from the forest fires, and it was just killing me. So I've literally haven't gone to bed yet, so that's why I'm up and figured, oh, I'll join in here. See how you guys are doing.
Wow.
So
Nice to have you here. I
yeah,
need to
thank
take
you.
a minute break if you guys want to chat for a bit, or we can put a piece of music on.
Whatever, I'm happy to
Either
chat or
one.
music. Either way.
Let me see what I can come up with here. Go ahead.
Mary. I was wondering why you're always behind, Mary.
Yeah, Mary's taking care of 6 grandchildren currently.
Wow.
Yeah, she's got the whole gang. Let's see.
I heard they caught the guy who was setting the fires.
Father.
Let's see.
Yeah,
All
there's
right.
so many fires right now. There's been 2 people they caught setting them on purpose. One near Portland and one in California. But a lot of them have some of them are just lightning. Others they actually turn the power off in a lot of the rural areas because the power lines were arcing and causing fires. So
Wow.
Let's see. All right. Well, let's
That's
put
terrible,
Liam.
though.
I got Liam. I think it's going to be followed up with Cassie B.
Father fish. What place to go to if you have Vic? Your fish may itch or even flash. So Father Fish is your one-stop cap. Cap it all with an inch of sand. Cap it all with an inch of sand. Raise the temperature with a helping hand. And add some garlic on top of that sand. The itch will go, your plants will grow, and all of your fish will have a happy home. Father Fish, so Father Fish, your one-stop wonder if you keep fish. Starring Sir Father Fish and all his followers on the Father Fish channel. Over to you, Sir Father Fish.
Yeah, I don't know, Lee. The one guy they brought in
Hello, Mary. Mary,
for
Mary,
they're
try.
checking his mental health.
oh really?
So, if they're insane, I don't know that they'll get life in prison.
You and me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good things and
It's
the bad
sad
things.
too because a couple people have died.
Yeah.
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish.
Otter fish is huge.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Instrumental break. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. 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 Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish.
Yeah.
I'll take that one.
Thank you, Lee. Fun stuff. Fun stuff.
Aquatic Conquest says, I need a shelf close to my water line so my shrimp can hang out instead of being on the heater and filter head tops.
If you have lots of plants throughout the tank, the shrimp will be able to climb up on them. Shrimp can only climb. They don't really swim. They'll dart from place to place, but unless you've got strata in the tank, they're not going to be able to get up off the bottom and
I've
stay up.
seen them go. I've seen them go up to like the middle here. They'll go.
It's kind of swimming and moving. Yeah,
They usually go backwards. Yeah.
right. They scoot.
Oh, I see, Mary. That's yes, it is painful, and thank you for your sympathy. But that actually wasn't my exact X-ray. That was just an X-ray that I pulled off online just as an image. But actually, yeah, it was 4 ribs in my X-ray for sure, and they couldn't tell about the other one. Mine weren't. They're not broken like that. They're like hairline. Shattered except for 2. 2 were actually like broken apart. So yeah. But I'm used to pain because when I got hit by lightning 2 years ago,
My God.
Oh my word!
yeah, I'm really
Wow.
lucky.
Wow.
So but I had my back broken, my skull fractured. So for the last 2 years I've had quite a bit of pain anyways. So yes, the ribs hurt, but used to it a bit. That's, fish tanks are good for keeping your mind off of it.
Where
Really?
were you when you got hit by lightning?
In Seattle, standing on my porch.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Who would have thought? I actually came down to Tampa to go to a group and see a doctor because the best doctors in the country all are in Tampa for lightning strikes.
Yeah, that's
We
right.
get a lot of lightning in Florida.
Yeah.
Lightning
Seattle
capital
doesn't get
of
much.
the world.
I think I've lost 2 trees on my property from lightning.
Oh, wow.
I go inside. It's very scary.
Let's see. Mary's talking about a wrench party. We need to open YouTube and look and see where we're at.
I'm surprised you get lightning there. I thought you mostly just got rain.
Where we're at.
Yeah, we get a little bit of everything, but only about, I think we only get on average about 15 lightning storms a year, so it's not that many.
Huh.
Mhm.
I'm just really unlucky.
God.
I do live on the top of a hill, though, so.
One
And
person I thought I heard got hit by lightning, and then after that, it like rewired his brain, and he became really smart.
Yeah, I think the opposite happened to me.
That's funny.
Yeah, I lost my ability to write, like my dexterity for 6 months, and then somebody called me on the phone, and all of a sudden I picked up the phone to write down a message, and I could write again just like that over in a
Wow.
split second. It's a very, very weird. The doctors, even in Tampa that are experts, basically kind of shrug and say, we don't know how it's going to turn out. Like, some people don't make it. Other people, will lose their sense of smell or, gain the ability to do math better or just all sorts of weird things. So,
Yeah. Weird.
yeah, it's odd.
I'm just looking on YouTube. We have a bunch of new people here. Little Graphic, Here Fishy, Al Wet Socks for 3. Ball Storm's been with us for a while. Here Fishy, I'm not familiar with.
I know.
Yeah,
Here,
they
Fishy
seem
from my
new.
channel.
Yeah,
So they're following you.
Maybe I don't know.
maybe, yeah.
I hope so. I mean, I've told people that I was gonna spend more time over here.
Laura Denker,
Al Wet Socks? Yeah, I don't recognize Al.
Big City Bettas. She's been here for a while. Here Fishy. Anybody know Here Fishy?
Just me.
Yeah, Alex said he knows you're fishy.
Oh, okay.
That's why I said he must have brought him over.
Lil Graphic. Hi, Lil Graphic. That's neat. Fish Dreams. Fish Dreams has been here for a while.
I know Fish Dreams too. Very nice.
Yeah, we're doing. I'm just giving a few wrenches out. We do wrenches rather than memberships because I can't figure out how to do memberships.
Oh yeah, I think they changed it so you have to have like 50,000 subscribers or something now.
Well,
No.
it's different with the pets.
Yeah,
Stream.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lower number for that. I think.
Well,
I was
and I know
talking
that
to James about it.
Aquarium Co-op was able to give out that ability to some of the channels that they're affiliated with. So I
Huh.
don't know if they kind of pick people in each section and then they have, how it works, but
I don't know.
like Joel Corvus Oskin, who used to do Fish Talk with Aquarium Co-op on their channel,
Huh.
he got one just because he was on a show on the other channel. So I'm not sure how it works either. I don't have it, so
I know James has it. And I've been meaning to talk with him about it. But I saw the same thing you did when I went to set it up. But then I was told that it's different for different groups, that there's a lower threshold with the pet group. I know some things you've got to have 100,000 to do certain stuff. Um, but those are channels where they're huge numbers anyway.
yeah.
How do you say your last name, Alex?
Oh, Williamson.
Oh, okay. I was looking at Mary's comments. I don't know who she's talking about.
Oh, Knievel, like Evil Knievel.
Oh, is that because you're in the dark?
I think it's because I got hit by lightning. Yeah, the other trick about being able to give out members or do memberships was if you were a gaming channel, the threshold was only 2,000,
Oh,
and so a lot of people started a gaming channel just to do that. But I think they took away all those.
because that's become really popular.
Yeah,
Everybody does gaming stuff now.
yeah. We'll do fish gaming.
Right.
I had a fish game. I started out was that Feeding Frenzy.
Oh, right.
Who's played Feeding Frenzy? You haven't? It's fun.
I played one.
You like it. You start out really tiny, and then you eat more and more food, and you get upgraded to be a bigger fish. And then you gotta eat what's smaller than you, but don't get eaten by the bigger animals. And
Nice.
then you get to a certain level, and you get an upgrade, and you keep upgrading.
Who is doing that?
I did it. I did Feeding Frenzy.
Blake does games.
I mean, I didn't do it on YouTube. I just played personally. It was a free game.
See where we are.
I showed my kids it recently, and they liked it.
I'm trying to figure out what question somebody asked.
Abolished Farms plays Sega Bass Fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first gaming console was a Sega.
had an Atari.
Oh, yeah, I did too. I had Pong
Oh wow,
when Pong came out.
yeah, like as a standalone game
Yeah,
for the TV.
it was the machine. You had to
I
buy
had
the,
that on my computer. I used to
yeah.
play on my computer.
Well, we had it before there were computers. It was kind of the first computer game, I guess. But
Probably.
we had to buy a little, I don't even remember what it was. Seems to me it was a standalone device that just played Pong.
Yeah.
We played Oregon Trail.
Oh, yeah.
I see
I like the hunting part.
somebody's asking if I was keeping any Australian fish apart from rainbow fish. I have a bunch of gobies that are South Pacific, Papua New Guinea, Aru Island, Palau, like kind of general Pacific. I think they're all Stiphodon family, but they're or Stiphodon. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, but they're fun little fish. And then I have some praycocks, neon dwarf rainbows. But then I have a bunch of pseudomcgills. I've got Luminatus, Furcatus, and Gertrude, and I've kept, I think, all but one pseudomcgill that are recognized as species now. We had the fortune of Gary Lang, who is a big rainbow fish guy, was friends with a couple people in our club and would visit a few times a year. So I'd be able to scoop up eggs for like $15 for 20, and raise whatever he had a few different years, which was really nice.
Nice.
I thought I saw. Did you have killifish, Alex, in your tanks?
Mm-hmm. I have some
I saw you.
killifish.
I was in the store yesterday and I saw them in person, and I was like, the videos on YouTube do not do them justice.
They're
Yeah.
stunning. Yeah.
I got a flash of the light when it went on the side, and I was like, wow, it's so pretty. It was like all blue iridescent on one.
Yeah,
which I guess maybe was the male, because I thought that if these were the golden ones, the females are golden.
Oh yeah, the Australis.
Yeah, I was like, I think I might have to add those to my tank next.
There are a couple of killie clubs you can buy eggs from.
Yeah,
They
they ship them all.
Yeah, they're real serious hobbyists, and they're all over the world.
Yeah.
And I really like those iridescent ones that I saw. I guess just a common killie.
We have a killie club in Florida that meets every quarter, I think, and they meet in people's homes all over the state. So they'll sometimes drive for 5-6 hours to get to a meeting in someone's home. But a lot of these guys have got hundreds of little tiny tanks.
Yeah.
Different species in each tank.
The other fish that are kind of like that are labyrinth fish, like licorice gouramis and things like that. There's a whole bunch of and a real dedicated small group.
Fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite is the chocolate gourami.
What were you saying about the killifish? Like, what makes them popular? Is it because they're peaceful and just pretty, or?
It's because they're so complicated to raise, I think.
I think, yeah, there's something kind of elusive about them too. I mean, there's like I think they're beautiful. They call them clown killies, but they used to go by rocket killies.
Yeah, that's great.
I love them, and they won't eat shrimp that I've noticed. So they stay right at the top, and they're pretty easy to get to spawn. It's harder to get the eggs to hatch. But they live their whole lives in the footprints of elephants and other large animals in Liberia and in the where the jungle meets the desert, kind of in West Central Africa. And they actually, like, you know, in like a flat deserty area where the ground's all cracked and stuff, where they get flash floods, those fish literally live sometimes in like 2 inches of water that's 6 inches across, and they'll live for 3 or 4 months, and that's it. And then their eggs can go dormant for a year. So pretty amazing. Some of the species, they're now finding can probably go dormant for multiple years. So
Yeah, that's right. I've had them hatch out at 3 and 4 years.
oh wow, really?
Yeah,
Is that African species?
Africans. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What was the other fish that you like with the shrimp? Was it the pygmy corridoras?
Those work well. I did a video I guess maybe a year ago on I guess I've done now a total of 20 fish that will work with shrimp. I mean, the main thing is, other than, from my experience, the clown killie, the panda loaches, autocyclists, and those are kind of it as far as that I've never seen ever touch a baby even. Most other fish will eat a baby if they get the chance and it's in front of them. But that being said, there are quite a few nano fish, like a lot of the rasboras, that they don't go out of their way to hunt the babies if you feed them on a schedule. You can definitely still keep 50% or more of every generation if you've got some cover for the babies.
Right.
Because baby Neocaridina, anyways, and Babalti both hide till about 1 or 2 months old if they have cover. They'll hide.
Nice.
Only one schooling fish doesn't get better after meds, salt, and garlic. Do I separate them?
Who is this?
AU. I guess just came on to ask a question about treating one of the schooling fishes is not getting better.
Well, you know, you might want to separate it. Put it in a container, a smaller container that you can really pay attention to the water conditions in. It's really hard to treat a sick fish in a community tank, and it's really not advised. It's not advisable to do it because you can, for one thing, the sickness can affect other fish. The treatment can affect other fish, and you can wind up damaging your biological system in the tank with treatment, or for that matter, with a parasite or a bacteria.
Yeah.
So it's always a good idea to pull a sick fish out and treat it separately.
I always tell people, when you get a filter that comes with the charcoal insert, I always tell them right away to pull that out and save it for when you use meds, because it's only really good. Usually it's only good for, 72 to 94 hours if it's true active charcoal. So.
Yeah, even the real expensive high temperature charcoal really doesn't last very long. A few days, and it's pretty well absorbed what it's capable of absorbing, and a lot of it'll dump then what it's absorbed. So charcoal has limited functional ability. I got a guy just came in to do some volunteer work today. Need to get him going with a broom. Rohan is pulling his eggs, and they're clumped together with dirt. He wants to know how to disinfect them. Best thing to do, Rohan, is leave them alone. I would not do anything with them. Um, the dirt is not going to affect the egg. It has a protective coating. That's what an egg is. An egg is a protective coating around the living cell or cell structure that protects the cell structure from bacteria and parasites and dirt and whatever. So don't worry too much about it. You can rinse it a little, but just let it go, and they will likely hatch. I wouldn't. You get too involved, and you're going to wind up injuring the egg. So you're better off just kind of rinsing it a little and put it in a container with a little bit of water flow, so you get some aeration. And if it even moves the eggs a bit, that like a tumbler effect. If it's not a sticky egg, if it's got dirt, it's probably a sticky egg.
Yeah.
It probably has an adhesive on it that dirt is attached to, which means that the dirt itself is providing some actual support for the egg. So don't worry about it. It should be fine. You don't want to put any chemicals in there. Don't try to help. You will do more harm than good.
So I've got the in my HOB here. Just wanted to share. I've got what came with it. It came with the like 3 carbon packs. One was like zeolite, and I think there's still carbon in with the zeolite. And then I added my own Biomax, whatever, and then my polyfill pillow material. And I'm gonna probably take that one out and put a sponge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really want to add any carbon or anything in there, but it's convenient. It came with it.
Well, carbon kind of feels like a scam to me most of the time in those things. It's just something to clog up, and then you need to go buy another one. When really you can specifically target when you need it, and the rest of the time, a coarse sponge or Brillo pad or something like that would be fine.
Yeah, people get addicted to carbon. They feel like
Do
they
you think
got to
I could
have.
just, instead of getting the special sponge, just put some Brillo pads in there?
Yeah, not the metal ones, but the
Yeah.
nylon ones. Those
Yeah.
work okay
Like
as the
the
coarsest
dollar
level of it.
Yeah, they're
But
pretty good.
but then I would get I'd get something finer like filter floss or actually water polishing batting for the last level of it, and then that way it'll keep it free of cloudiness quite a bit.
Well, that's what's in the last slot. I think it
Filter
goes
floss.
there. It was
Yeah.
the adding from the craft store.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. The only note on that you probably know is just not to get the fire retardant, like the stuff that has it sprayed on there. You
I
have,
don't know.
because most of it has to be made so that it isn't flammable because of
Mhm.
laws in the US.
Right.
But in California, they actually add another chemical to it to make it even more fire retardant. And because, California is such a big state, some companies have just decided to do that to all their, all their products. So you just always
I don't
want to
know.
double.
I could run and get the bag and go look real quick.
You're probably fine if your fish are fine. But
I didn't know that. So it's
yeah.
just the craft battings for I guess if you make your own pillows.
Yeah. I mean, it's all the same. It's honestly made by the same big companies in China, and they just sell it for different uses, whether
Are you
it's
saying that would kill the fish?
No, I don't know. I mean, honestly, a lot of things people say will kill fish end up not, and other things do sometimes. So I think it's sometimes it's hard to know what fish is going to react which way and in what kind of water. But my general rule of thumb is just the less amount of additives and chemicals you can put in the tank, and the longer you can allow it to have a natural biome, just like your own stomach or whatnot, the better off health wise it seems to be. People
Yeah.
get addicted to adding C-Chem or like Flourish XL or things like that, and it'll melt their val, which then makes more ammonia, and then they'll cause the phosphates to go up, which will cause more algae, and then they'll go buy another algicide, and pretty soon you have 5 bottles that you need just to keep things looking okay, and really your fish aren't happy with that chemistry.
Right. Absolutely. Here, Fishy says she feels like her BBS hatches just as well without air or heat. Heat you don't need. I've always used air, but then I've always hatched out very large quantities.
You don't need it either. There's a brand by a company in Germany called Hobby, and they make this disc that's a black disc, and as long as you're over 60 degrees Fahrenheit and under 110 Fahrenheit, it'll hatch using from eggs from brine shrimp direct, but you only get about 50% hatch rate from my estimation without the air. So you do lose some of your eggs, but they will hatch enough that it works, but you're losing money in eggs. Okay.
Yeah. I've
I
been
think I'm
using
gonna need to go get some water here. Need to go hydrate.
the decapsulated hatching brine shrimp. I do that kind of routinely anymore, so I don't have to worry about separating the shrimp from the eggshells.
Yeah. You know what's kind of cool, Lou, if you check that product out from Germany, is it has baffles, and then it has a hole in the center so that they swim to the light, but the baffles make it so they have to swim up and down, and then they scrape themselves. So the shells all end up in the rings of the baffles, and the little guys end up in the center, and you don't need any electricity, which is kind of nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know who thought up it.
Yeah, really. Takes the Germans. The Germans come up with amazing stuff, don't they? Those are the Japanese, right? Fascinating. I'll have to look into what's it called again?
The Hobby brine shrimp hatchery, just like we'd spell hobby, HOBBY, all in caps is how the brand looks. But it's about $30 on Amazon. You can find it. But I use them just because without running air through it, my wife thinks that it's stinky when I run air through the brine shrimp,
Huh. Another trick I learned from watching somebody on YouTube who's doing brine shrimp is at the end of the hatch, when you pull all your babies out and you got a little bit of crappy water left, take that outside and throw it in a vat, and do that routinely over a period of a week. At the end of a week, you'll have half the full-grown shrimp in it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a great idea.
And you can do 2 of them, like one week, one the next, and if you're hatching every day, and have a continuing source of adult brine shrimp that will hatch out outdoors, and the sunlight will create enough algae to get them growing. So it's a pretty slick little system. It's very, very, very easy to do.
Yeah.
I managed to catch 2 mosquito larvae yesterday out of my tub. The problem is, like, the very bottom layer of the tub is getting littered with whatever falls down from the tree. So I don't want to, like, pour that out into a net, because I'll pour all that gunk into the net with the larvae. So that's why I'm having trouble catching them.
What I do is I'll put pantyhose across part of it, across half the tank, and sink it down. And then at night, I use a flashlight or just your phone LED light, and the little Daphne. I have Daphne and mosquito larvae in the same container, but they'll move towards the light, and as soon as they're over the pantyhose, then I'll grab it from side to side and then just kind of tie it off and wring it out, and you've got a bunch of, creepy crawlies.
Yeah, because when I go in there, they want to go hide under that.
Yeah, they'll
dirt.
dart off. Yeah.
You got to be sneaky and quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turkey basters work
Yeah.
too if you're OCD about it.
Yeah, I don't want to add that junk. Because I'm like, once it's in the net, you can't really
Put 'em in
rinse
a
it out.
jar. Put the whole thing in a jar after you do that, and they'll come to the top, and then you can use a turkey baster or a small net to separate them from the muck.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to try that light tub thing.
But you got to be quick.
Mm-hmm.
They see you coming, they dart to the bottom.
They do. Yeah, as soon as I put my thing in there, they're like, "Doop," they dip under.
The other thing to
You
be
got to
careful.
get the thing in there before you go like swish. Just to do a real quick rump before they have a chance to hit them. Before they know you're there.
Yep. The other thing is you got to be careful with some of the like dragonfly midges and stuff like that. Some of those, even the large mosquitoes, can eat some of the like rainbow fish fry and some of the smaller fry, tetra fry, things like that. So that's just a side note for anybody listening who wants to try feeding mosquito larvae. I've made that mistake a few times.
Are your mosquito larvae eating your Daphne, do you think?
I don't know. If they are, it's not enough that it matters. But, I have a 20-gallon long out or two of them out in my carport, and I've got a bunch of duckweed so that birds and other animals can't get it. The raccoons still dig around in it no matter what, but and then what I'll do is I'll leave a couple guppies or white cloud minnows or some sort of fish in there too, just one or two, and they'll kind of chase everything around and it keeps it on its toes. But I still have plenty to feed to 6 or 7 tanks worth of fry for about 6 months of the year that way. Here we only get 5 or 6 months of outdoor insect growth, but I bet in Florida you could probably do it more.
You're pretty much year round.
Yeah.
10 months anyway, yeah.
Well,
And
the Daphnia. Sorry. I was wondering if the Daphnia will culture naturally outside.
You have to start it. You've got to find some somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not going to come in through the air or through dirt, I don't believe.
I think it has to be mud as far as I've ever seen, like pond, the bottom of a pond or something.
There are Daphne cysts. They do cyst up. So if you collect mud in a pond in the winter, it'll likely have Daphne cysts in it.
Yeah. The other thing that I get a lot of in Washington is we get these copepods that are really teeny. You don't even know they're copepods unless you look under the microscope. Everyone calls them seed shrimp, but they're not actually real seed shrimp. But they're in our soil naturally. So just putting a handful of soil in some of the northern states in water in the summer, you'll get all sorts of little critters eventually.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, I basically did that. I took some pond mud and put it in there. So we'll see what I get.
you have to be a little bit careful about worms, though. Nematodes, not actual worms, but there are some nasty nematodes that can, cause wasting disease and stuff like that. So I just tell people keep an eye out for that, and then keep some fenbendazole or flubendazole or levamisole, one of those sols on hand, just in case.
Yeah, nematodes are kind of a key food source for in the industry. The black worms and red worms are
Yeah,
all
and the white micro
yeah, the
worms.
microworm is the nematode. Right,
Yeah,
right.
a lot of them.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like something like 30,000 species, and
Oh,
most of them are food to fish, but some, I guess, are
yeah,
parasitic. So,
yeah.
oh, it's a kitty.
I get to look at these little guys. He follows me wherever I am. Find some cozy place to lay down.
Well, I appreciate having you guys on today. We're at
Oh
the
yeah.
witch hour. Let me see if I can get a tune up here.
Well, thanks for having me. It's always fun. I like it because I don't sleep normal hours anyways. So it's nice to have a group of folks awake in the morning,
Yeah,
like-minded.
love to have you on, Alex.
Well, I
Yeah, we're awake
appreciate it.
before the rest of the country.
When do you do your streams, Alex?
I tend to do mine around 5 or 6 p.m. on usually Tuesdays and Saturdays, but sometimes it'll be
Your
Wednesdays.
time?
And yeah,
Your
my time.
so
So it
8 or 9. Yeah, okay.
yeah, but I'm real flexible with that. Like I do some random streams just because I for some reason I don't know what I did, but at one point a bunch of Australians started watching. Like something like 14% of my viewers are Australian. So I'll hop on in the middle of the night sometimes, just, like 5 p.m. their time in Sydney. So I'm always flexible. If you ever want to do a live stream, I can, say what time ahead of time. But yeah.
Well, let's play Cassie B, shall we? Let's switch the subject. I'm gonna have to talk to you sometime about how you came up with this because it's such a classic format. Here we go.
Who, me? I thought you were talking to Alex.
Father fish.
Oh, it's like an old English
It
like
is. That's
folk
exactly right.
song.
Yeah,
Scottish, maybe.
Morning,
that's sweet.
every day.
Well, goodbye, everybody. Good
Bye.
morning and have a great day.
Thank
You
you.
too. Hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Him, then I plans. He will help you do it the right way. And some fish, then walk away. Feed them high quality food. Thy food is best. Keep it dirted, keep it all natural. I found my way back to Father Fish. Bye, all.
That's so sweet.
I uploaded an update of that video last night.
I'm sorry.
I uploaded an update on that bowl aquarium last night.
Oh, I saw you did.
But
Yeah.
I still need to get around to doing the build of that.
Ah,
So I kind of spoiled it because I haven't put the build video up yet.
let's listen to Roxanne and we'll say goodbye. Here she is.
Take trouble for the fish, he comforts me. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my time,
Hey, everybody.
he is streaming right in front of me. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be.
Cassie B.
Adam said, and let it be. Father's words of wisdom, let
Very nice. Cassidy, give me a call. I want to get you some information about my my YouTube page, so you can get on there and add some stuff and do some things on it. I'd rather do that over the phone. I don't want to do it publicly.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for coming on.
Thank
I've
you, guys.
lost my picture. We'll look at yours. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Take care and have a lovely day.
You too, Father Fish.